Hello, wondrous ones. Coming to you today back here in Ontario, Canada, fresh off my beautiful European tour and adventures that I was on for 3+ months. And sorry if I look a little haggard. I've been pretty much right into the thick of things here back in Canada on a busy tour, dealing with a bit of jet lag because I flew all the way from Greece back here. And I wanted to drop some wisdom that's been coming through for this Virgo new moon that's coming through tomorrow. And I also apologize for the wind. I want to be outside, but it is a bit windy. But I think you'll probably hear my voice through it all. We are with the elements. We are with Mama Gaia, which is part of the message that has been coming through for me today as I've really tuned in to Virgo. You know, Virgo is the sign of really the divine feminine. Anytime we go through a Virgo portal, it's bringing us into that connection with the sacred feminine. Virgin, it's from that word, and virgin literally means a woman, or it could be a man as well, a human that is whole unto themselves, that requires nothing else added to them. And it's really evoking our natural divinity, which is really what this Aquarian Age that we're slowly starting to be initiated into is all about, restoring this natural sense of our divineness. And so on this Virgo new moon, something that's been coming up for me today, in the midst of, a lot of the divisiveness that we're seeing in the world, which is nothing new for a lot of us. But what's been coming through is that we really need to focus now and in the coming days, years, who knows, centuries ahead, on restoring a sense of our human unity, our humanity. I think most of us are starting to really awaken to the fact that the political realm, the political religious realm really, because we're seeing all these wars erupting in the Middle East. And if you follow my work, I've come from this whole Gnostic mystery school understanding that the Abrahamic faiths, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, they're all very related, and they've all been captured, and they've all been institutionalized and distorted, and they're all following the same script of mutual annihilation. And we're seeing that playing out in the world with the Judeo-Christian sort of state of Israel and its backers in the US. And then, of course, you have all these jihadist countries that have been denigrating women, that have been so belligerent and pretty much propped up as terrorist groups all around the world, backed by the same military-industrial complexes that would have us believe that these are opposing terrorist groups. People are waking up to the duplicity of it all, that we're all being played, all sides, and the fact that there are sides is part of the play to make these kind of splintered, fragmentary aspects of our consciousness, and then, of course, provoking and triggering these battles amongst ourselves. And it's a very heartbreaking thing when you look at all the innocent lives that are being wasted in Gaza, the terrorist attacks in Israel, all over the world, the wars that are still going on for conquest, colonialism. But really, at the end of the day, most wars, as Orwell told us in 1984, is just to prop up the whole arms trade, the military. The war is business, and it's how our world actually operates, especially in the age that we're emerging from, into the Aquarian Age, where we're trying to leave that system behind. And so when I think about the solution of things, and I just got back from this beautiful festival here in Canada, in Ontario, called Soul Shine. And one of the beauties of going to some of these more conscious festivals is, I like to say, it's an opportunity for us to kind of gather for a weekend or maybe a whole week, and we get to practice community. We get to practice what this new world would look like if we're all living together, different races, different creeds, different religions, and trying to figure out how to be family again, sharing resources, helping each other, supporting each other. And this is really the solution moving forward. And this may be a hard pill for those of us to follow who are very identified with perhaps our religion, or very identified with our nationality, with our culture. And I'm not saying that we should throw all of that away and throw the baby out with the bathwater. But part of the solution that's going to be emerging more and more, and it's already emerging in a lot of our lives, is the fact that we are starting to go deeper and realize there is this universal common ground of our humanity, that we are all part of the human family. And the fact that we've got so divided along lines of religion and state has really distorted that, obscured it. Most of us don't even see or are aware of that. And I've had conversations with people in different sides of the political spectrum, different sides of the conflict in the Middle East. And it's really tragic to witness people being manipulated into hating each other, dehumanizing each other, and then falling for all this propaganda, as if people don't realize that most of the news that we are dealt, most of the news of the world, the way the world is pretty much created, and the information that we receive, it's very much a simulation. It's as Derrida said, the great existential or postmodern philosopher, we're living in the simulacrum, we're living in the simulation. Everyone's talking about the simulation theory. That's nothing new. This is something that came out of the 80s in postmodernism. And in fact, if you go all the way back to the Hindu tradition, they knew this. They called it the Maya. Of course, they were speaking at a very deep essential level, on the level of our very senses being limited and not being able to see the more ultimate reality where everything is more unified. And truly, science has already illuminated this to us, that beyond our senses, and we are being sensitized into this, we are being initiated into this, people are feeling these energies. People are becoming much more vibrational and energetically sensitive. And we're starting to realize that we are all woven together, not just the human family, because we can't stop there. This is about also restoring a sense of kinship with everything around us on this earth. The trees, the animals, the plants. This is the indigenous truth, and this is the indigenous leadership that is going to continue to emerge and awaken in the world, with the indigenous people who are still holding the purity of their traditions, and in all of us who have been colonized, to going back and realizing we all had ancestors who were indigenous, who were living with the land in deep rapport in an eco-spiritual way. And they understood this, that if you tend to the land, if you garden, if you grow your own food, if you stay close to the land, and this is why we had technologies like the Celts had the Wheel of the Year, you follow these 8 seasonal festivals, because they realize if you somehow abort yourself from the sacred ecology, you're liable to become very unnatural and disobey the laws that govern this planet so that we can all thrive. I was speaking to my lovely friend Sonia at this festival. She started the Global Indigenous Development Trust, which I highly recommend checking out. Great organization that I've supported and helped in a few ways in the past. And she was talking about how in Turtle Island, or what we know as North America, a lot of these different tribes, many different tribes and nations of indigenous origin that existed here before Europeans came over, they shared the land together, and they had a system of treaties that were there before. A lot of people, and myself included, I was ignorant. I thought the treaties were a system that was created by the colonialists as they came over and tried to have some sort of cooperative agreement about land sharing with the indigenous. But in fact, a lot of the treaties were there before, because they realized in all their different nations and tribes, different styles of culture, so that they didn't clash, so that they realized that, hey, we have this common ground. It's called Mother Earth. She's all of our mother. We all understand that. We can all worship and be devoted to her in different ways. But they had a rendered understanding of this common ground. And so they had all these systems so that we could relate to that. But they had this common ground. And this is something that has been washed away, that has been obscured from us to realize that we're all living on the earth. And this is why the environmental crisis is part of the initiation. It is that bitter swill that we all have to follow no matter what, because we're seeing it in the changes in the world. And I'm not speaking about climate change, which has all kinds of, I believe, political distortions around it, using and exploiting it. I'm talking about more of the chemical pollutions that we've done to the waters, to the earth, the wretchedness that we've done to all the life forms of this planet, the mass genocides of animals and plant species. That has made then the ecosystem very unstable for us to live. We can't have access to clean water anymore. All of our food is demineralized, our soil. And this is devitalizing us. And we are sicker than we've ever been, even though we tend to appear to live longer lives. And this is because we've actually broken these treaties with the earth. Treaties, in my mind, are also just naturally there. I mean, when you start to study natural law, you understand every action that we make on earth has to be in this rapport with Mother Earth. We have to realize that. And when we lose that sense of it, we become unhooked, we become completely disembodied, and we're more liable to become collectively insane, as Eckhart Tolle would say, which is kind of the predicament that we're in now, where a lot of us are looking at these wars in the Middle East, and we're like, this is insane. We're all one family. Why are we killing each other? Why are we slaughtering each other's children over ideas, over your God better than my God? It gets to a level where it's being very exposed as something very immature, very toxic, and also compassionately coming from a very traumatized aspect of our species that has been basically warring for thousands of years in generational trauma, and we haven't healed those wounds. So on this, Virgo new moon, it's also about restoring this sense of the divine feminine as Mother Earth, as Mother Gaia, as Mother Gaia Sophia. Because this is the universal ground that a lot of our ancestors understood, that we are all sharing in a planet, and not just a material physical planet, but this planet is a physical body of a goddess who is said to be Sophia, who is said to be the wisdom goddess, who is teaching and guiding us. So it wasn't just learning about the natural laws of how to play with the resources of the earth and be in proper healthy interdependence, so that the carrying capacity of different populations of animals and plants were always in a harmonic way, so that we could sustain ourselves and work the land in the appropriate ways. But there was also an eco-spiritual dimension that the indigenous understood completely. There's a whole realm of the mysteries of elementals and different spiritual beings, the angelic realm, the demonic realm as well, the realm of Wetiko and evil spirits. And this mysticism, all these metaphysical realms are also something that we're being initiated into right now. I'd like to say that the earth has become a kind of mystery school. But on this Virgo new moon, we're also being, initiated into this remembrance. Everything that has to do with Virgo is a remembrance of the divine feminine, this divine earth. So I'd like to end here with just a little meditation and a prayer. So if you just want to find a beautiful connection to your holy breath, and I've been playing with this idea of calling air and oxygen these days the breath of Gaia, because a lot of the indigenous say that Mother Earth is breathing us, that every breath we take is actually partaking in her breath. And that's one of the ways that she crucially and intimately weaves with us, just this very active breathing. So perhaps as you close your eyes and you start to find a connection to this holy breath, just bear that in mind, that you are breathing in the breath of life that is Gaia's breath as well, that is her vitalizing force. And feel that love, and feel that tethering to that mother force with every breath that you take. Knowing that, as the ancients decried, our bodies, everything on this planet is designed by her. It is an expression of her soul, her anima mundi. We're living within her soul. And feel that contact on a metaphysical level. Start to turn your awareness within yourself, and start to come into the summit of your holy heart, the center of your chest. This blessed place where the true spark of your divinity, this shard of light from source, gleams and radiates this eternal soul power. And let us pray. Let us pray that all of humanity starts to continue furthering their awakening, that we are one family. Let us pray for this unity to be enthused, to be emboldened, in playful, mysterious, ingenious ways, brilliant ways that will captivate the masses. Let us pray that all these divisions that are wrecking that unity, that we reach a point of exhaustion, that people start to finally see with the eye of truth that we all have at our disposal. That all these miseries, that we need to take responsibility and realize we are all perpetrating these miseries. We are being manipulated into seeing a division that is actually an illusion. That at our essence, we are one human family. Let us pray that we will soon see the end of war, that through the madness of war that is currently presiding over the planet, that our moral compass, this guiding sense of discerning what is right from wrong, this rise of radical ethics of love, will come to bear and burgeon in our species to help us finally cast away this almost demonic entity that is war, and realize that the truest enemy is war itself. There is no solution in war. It just perpetuates blood karma generation after generation in a vicious, never-ending cycle of hatred and horror. Let us pray that the hearts open of those who are perpetrating these wars, who are at the focal point of being deviant politicians and leaders of the world that are behind the scenes manipulating this for their own gain, following the divide and conquer edict. Let us pray that their hearts open and they feel the joy of their souls, they feel their connection to God, and that the tears come and quell the fires of their need and lust to control and dominate. Let us pray that those who are perpetrating start to come into the tenderness of their hearts and realize a great love for humanity and all creation and honoring of all creation. Let us pray that humanity continues to realize that it's not just about humanity. There's something even higher and transpersonal that we need to connect and devote ourselves to. The web of life. as we come again to the arms of Mama Gaia and return ourselves to the sacred ecology. On this new moon in Virgo, let us pray to Grandmother Moon as she portals us through this connection to our divine feminine, and let us honor that divine feminine within us all, that Maha Shakti, that Devi, that sacred feminine force that is truly the source of love. And feel that welling up in your heart, a radiance of love that is infinite power, the greatest power that we have at our disposal, the power that understands unity down to our essence, and that will never be swayed from seeing that, no matter what division games are placed before us. Let us pray on this blessed new moon in Virgo that the goddess continues to awaken, as it has been prophesied, as a wellspring of wisdom in all of our hearts continues to initiate us into understanding that truly everything that we're dealing with, that we have to confront, is on the level of the mind, consciousness, and it's our beliefs and our thoughts that if we learn to clean them up, to question them, to come into a sense of truth, which is a living force in our reality, we can come to understand how to truly help support the heaven that is earth and do away with these dark agendas that we've been manipulated into perpetuating, creating untold miseries on this planet. Let us pray that we continue to be stewards for the new earth, continue to build a world of love where all of humanity will be educated into appropriate wisdom teachings to bring them into enlightened, flowered, divine consciousness. Ahe, ahe, ahe. So thank you for joining me today on this little Wisdom Warrior transmission. I'd also like to share that tomorrow, on the exact day, the new moon in Virgo, I'm going to be releasing or re-releasing the first track from my album Woman, which is a collection of 5 sacred poems to the divine feminine. And the first one is coming out tomorrow, Awakening Woman. So you can find that on all streaming platforms. I'll be posting it around. And I'm going to end today by just reading one of my favorite poems and one of my most beloved poems from my book Love's Revolution, which you can find on Amazon. It's called, well, actually, I'm going to read this one. It's called Love is Law. It's from the first chapter, which is called Love Thyself. We are not taught how to love ourselves, and this deficit haunts the very fabric of our society. Moreover, in urban society especially, we are dropped in a nightmare of constant media maelstrom, propagations of violence, fear, distorted sexuality, and so on. Our parents probably did not emerge unscathed into adulthood, so pass on their helpless wounding. It's a miserable situation, yet suffused with possibility, for which all adversity is but a midwife. What is important is to fiercely, devotedly, relentlessly love what you are. Be playful and creative. Beware of busyness, its subtle abuse. To work to a point where you cannot be in your heart and thus not give from your beauty is a tragedy and crime against your humanity. Manage your life so nodes of love are like the beads of a mala necklace, constantly drawing you into prayer and sacredness. Love yourself daily, often mightily, crazily, ceaselessly, until it's instinct. It shall be an instinct recovered, for this lovingness is the primary drive of life, beat out of us by the invisible malice of a civilization bent on destroying our radiant essence. We shall be the womb for a reversal, a revolutionary civilization where love is law. Thank you. Wishing you all the best, new moon in Virgo. Get your dream seeds out, plant some intentions for this new cycle, and may the goddess be with you. May wisdom shine and bless your heart.